I passed my humiliation ritual with all honors, with flying colors, but the only difference...
He said it without laughter or hesitation. I passed my humiliation ritual with flying colors. Those words spread through every feed in seconds. People replayed them, froze the clip, dissected his tone. This wasn't rumor. It was a confession. NLE Choppa, a rapper who built his image on light and healing, was speaking about one of the darkest ideas surrounding fame. For years, whispers about the rituals of Hollywood floated through interviews, podcasts, and conspiracy threads. Some laughed them off as paranoia. Others quietly believed. But when a mainstream artist as visible as Choppa spoke about it directly, the boundary between speculation and testimony collapsed. He described walking with God through the ordeal, grounding himself in prayer and meditation. To some, it sounded like redemption. To others, it sounded like a man explaining the price of success. The shock wasn't just the words, it was who they came from. Because before that statement, NLE Choppa had become the poster child for transformation. Bryson Potts grew up in Memphis with rhythm in his blood and defiance in his eyes. When his single Shotta Flow erupted across YouTube, he was still a teenager. The video, simple, raw, energetic, captured the spirit of youth that fame loves to exploit. Within months, labels circled, contracts appeared, and a kid who once freestyled in parking lots was suddenly negotiating millions. But fast success carries hidden weight. Money multiplies attention, and attention magnifies pressure. As crowds cheered, Choppa began to feel the walls closing in. He spoke about anxiety, sleepless nights, and a restless pull toward something spiritual. The violence of his lyrics clashed with the peace he said he was searching for. By 19, he announced he was changing. He practiced meditation, studied herbs, talked about aligning chakras, posted videos of gardening and sunrise prayers. To fans, it looked like enlightenment. To cynics, it looked like a publicity stunt. The same internet that crowned him now mocked his rebirth. Memes called him NLE Chakra. Others said he'd lost the fire that made him famous. That ridicule was the beginning. Fame is never satisfied with reinvention. It demands a spectacle. When an artist trades aggression for calm, the industry tests how much of that piece is real. Every post, every interview, every slip becomes an invitation for humiliation. And humiliation in the twisted hierarchy of entertainment is both punishment and promotion. So when Choppa later claimed he'd passed his ritual, it wasn't just a metaphor. It was the admission of a man who had already been broken in public and rebuilt himself under watchful eyes. The day he uploaded the video, his voice was steady, almost proud. I passed my humiliation ritual with all honors, with flying colors. He spoke as if it were an exam he'd studied for. But what kind of exam involves embarrassment, public doubt, and spiritual warfare? His explanation blurred faith and fame into one narrative. He said he had walked with God through the process, stayed grounded, and prayed for guidance while the world mocked him. That contradiction lit up every comment section. How can a ritual seen as demonic be passed by walking with God? To his followers, it meant victory, proof that you can survive the industry without losing your soul. To critics, it sounded like coded confession, a way to normalize what many already suspected about Hollywood's darker side. The internet split in two. One half saw bravery, the other saw confirmation that rituals weren't just myth, they were protocol. Even after he tried to clarify his meaning, saying he'd been angry, misunderstood, emotional, the statement had already evolved beyond his control. People edited the clip, slowed it down, added dramatic music, labeled him initiated. The phrase humiliation ritual suddenly dominated algorithms, and behind that phrase lay a truth everyone could feel. Public disgrace had become part of celebrity culture. Long before Choppa ever held a microphone, Katt was talking about these rituals. In interviews that many dismissed as rants, Katt described parties behind mansion doors, deals that traded dignity for exposure, and the strange expectation that a star must embarrass himself to stay visible. The number one job of someone who sold their soul, he said, is to act like it didn't happen. People laughed back then. They called him paranoid, difficult, blacklisted by his own mouth. But time has a way of turning jokes into prophecies. Katt claimed he was offered $50 million 4 separate times to play along, attend the secret parties, and keep quiet. Each time he refused. He said no to the money, no to the silence, and yes to his own exile. The industry labeled him unstable. Audiences called him brave. When Choppa made his statement decades later, it sounded like an echo. Katt had been warning about the price of integrity. Choppa was now testifying about paying it. Both men framed humiliation not as coincidence but as ceremony. The breaking of pride in exchange for access. Why humiliation? Why not loyalty or money or secrecy? Because humiliation is the one currency every human fears to spend. It destroys the ego faster than any contract. Once the world laughs at you, you'll do anything to change the narrative, even if it means surrendering control to the very forces that engineered your fall. The modern entertainment machine understands this perfectly. When Lil Nas X released Montero, Call Me By Your Name, sliding into hell in designer boots, the outrage was instantaneous. Some called it blasphemy, others genius. He insisted it was satire. But to millions, it looked like initiation. At the 2023 Grammys, Sam Smith and Kim Petras performed Unholy dressed in crimson latex, surrounded by flames. Viewers tweeted prayers between commercial breaks. It was spectacle disguised as art, provocation so calculated that even those offended couldn't look away. Then came Shabuzi, arriving at the Met Gala draped in pearls, his masculinity deliberately softened. Comment sections filled with accusations. They got him too. Every act of shock became a ceremony of control, humiliation rebranded as performance. Fame no longer rewards talent, it rewards visibility. And nothing makes you visible like controversy. The ritual doesn't require belief, it only requires participation. When Choppa's transformation from street rapper to spiritual guru drew ridicule, the system got what it wanted: attention, confusion, debate. The ritual was complete before he even recognized it. What made Choppa different was his insistence on keeping God in the conversation. While others framed their breakdowns as artistic reinvention, he called his suffering a spiritual test. He spoke of fasting, prayer, and isolation, practices meant to cleanse, not entertain. He believed fame was a battlefield between light and darkness and that every artist had to choose sides. But faith inside fame is like fire inside paper. One eventually consumes the other. As Choppa's image evolved, brands wanted the glow of his spirituality but none of its conviction. He could talk about meditation, as long as he looked marketable doing it. He could preach peace, as long as the music still streamed millions. That tension mirrored a deeper contradiction in modern culture. We crave enlightenment, but we sell it as lifestyle branding. Choppa's journey exposed how even faith can be commercialized until the message drowns in merchandise. When he said he walked with God through his humiliation, some heard sincerity, others heard marketing. But to those who truly listened, it was the voice of a young man wrestling with power he couldn't fully control. The power of fame to shape truth itself. Every generation has its whistleblowers. Katt Williams told his stories with humor. Kanye West shouted his warnings through chaos. Both described the same system: opportunities tied to obedience, contracts disguised as cages, and an invisible expectation that artists must prove submission before receiving elevation. Kanye's confessions about sacrifice stunned the world. He named names: Michael Jordan's father, Bill Cosby's son, Dr. Dre's son, and asked why tragedy shadowed success. When he said, "My mother was sacrificed," even his critics went silent. Moments later, his empire began to crumble. Partnerships vanished. Media mocked his mental state, and doctors prescribed lithium until, as he claimed, he refused to take it. "They would have Britney Spears'd me," he said. The pattern was cruelly consistent. Speak truth, face ridicule, vanish. Humiliation as punishment again. Choppa, younger and still malleable, stood at the crossroads these men described. He could resist like Katt, explode like Kanye, or find a middle path, faith without defiance. But middle paths are rarely safe in entertainment. The system thrives on extremes. After the ritual claim faded from trending pages, Choppa doubled down on positivity. He released new music, launched wellness projects, and continued preaching self-love. Yet the shadow of that statement followed him everywhere. Interviews tiptoed around it. Fans debated whether he had repented or evolved. To some, his new calmness felt genuine. To others, it looked rehearsed, like an artist trying to re-enter the industry through a cleaner door. Was this rebirth or rebrand? Fame doesn't allow full honesty. Every confession must serve a campaign. Every apology must fit a rollout. And that's what makes humiliation so effective. Once you've been publicly broken, the only way back is through narrative control. Still, there was something undeniable in Choppa's eyes when he spoke about peace. He looked tired, but certain, like someone who had seen both sides and chosen survival. Maybe the ritual he passed wasn't an initiation at all, but a personal reckoning. The acceptance that to live in public is to die in pieces and to stay whole. You must surrender the need to be understood. When you trace the timeline of every major star who has faced sudden scandal, a strange symmetry appears. The humiliation always precedes a transformation. It's not random, it's rhythmic, almost ritualistic. For some, it's a wardrobe choice that challenges gender norms. For others, it's a public meltdown, a viral mistake, a leaked video. The world mocks, the star disappears, then returns with new music, a new look, a new attitude. Rebirth through ridicule. Psychologists call it ego death. The industry calls it publicity. Maybe both are right. Choppa's declaration turned that invisible cycle into a visible conversation. By naming the humiliation, he disrupted its power. If the ritual feeds on secrecy, then exposure starves it. But exposure comes at a cost. Once you break the illusion, you can't rebuild it the same way. That's why many artists choose silence. They'd rather be misunderstood than erased. In the end, the ritual may not belong to Hollywood at all. It belongs to anyone who's ever been broken in public, anyone who's ever had to rebuild their name under scrutiny, anyone who's learned that the only way to stay pure is to stop performing purity. Fame demands humiliation. Faith demands surrender. And somewhere between the two stands a young man from Memphis, eyes lifted to heaven, whispering that he made it through. So what do you believe? Was NLE Choppa revealing a hidden truth or redefining his own pain? Was Katt Williams right about the industry's favorite weapon, shame? Or are these rituals simply reflections of a culture addicted to watching people fall before it claps for their rise? However you answer, one fact remains. Humiliation is no longer a byproduct of fame. It's part of its design. And until artists learn to walk through it with the kind of faith Choppa described, the cycle will keep repeating again and again until another voice dares to say, "I passed mine too."